Ms. Sanchez, you recognize to strike the last word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank Representative Pascrell for his tireless quest to bring this ridiculous issue, hopefully, to a conclusion. It's hard to add more to what has already been said on the subject, and I'm beginning to feel like it's, broken record on this side of the dais with our arguments in favor of what Mr. Pascrell is trying to do. But I guess we are going to continue to press forward in an attempt to get President Trump to make good on his promise. He promised to release his tax returns. Now, somebody who makes a promise and then doesn't keep it is either somebody who lies or somebody who has something to hide. The last time that the Ways and Means Committee addressed this topic, I reminded my colleagues that as members of Congress, we take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And when we swear that oath, we recognize the responsibilities to our constituents and the nation as representatives elected to a co-equal branch of government. Holding the executive branch accountable is a minimum step in fulfilling that duty. Information regarding potential conflicts of interest, whether a person has been unduly influenced or whether a person violated codes of conduct, statutes, or laws, is absolutely necessary oversight. Since President Trump has refused to follow the custom and practice in releasing his returns, I think it is our duty to support this measure to try to obtain that information. Since this committee last voted on this issue in February, we've continued to hear numerous news reports linking the president or his close associates to entanglements or worse with the Russian government on an almost daily basis. Until we have a full picture of the president's financial holdings, the sources of his income, and other pertinent information, we can't properly assess this situation. So I urge my colleagues on this committee to put our national security and the best interests of our country above party politics and support Mr. Pascrell's resolution. And before I yield the balance of my time to Mr. Crowley, I want to just address the issue that was raised by my Republican colleagues about financial disclosure forms. President Trump has not filed his financial disclosure forms for this year. Now, members of Congress are required to file those, and the deadline is May 15th of this year. And in fact, with extensions and other kind of dilatory tactics, it may well be 2 years into his first term before we ever see the president's financial disclosure forms. And that's why I've introduced a piece of legislation called the FAIR Act that would require all executive branch and government employees who are required to file a financial disclosure form to all file it by the same deadline that members of Congress and members of the Senate have to file by. And I think what's good for us is what's good for the rest of government. And with that, I will yield the balance of my time to Mr. Pascrell.
Mr. Chairman, tonight at 5:05, this was released, a story by Oren Durrell.